Okay, let's try and not be super structured about this. The point is to be unstructured, not scripted. Okay, all right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Clap. That's what people do. I'm snuggied up. World's 22, snuggied up, and we're ready, I think, to talk about 2023 in a video format this time. No twitlongers or whatever. I don't know what they're called now, but I think they might be. Are they even allowed? I think they might be dead. They might have destroyed them. I'm not sure. But we're gonna do it in a video this time. Just to try and do something a little bit different. I have a bad habit of scripting myself too much. So trying to be a bit more natural with it. And there's a lot to go over. There's a lot of things that happened this year, and I thought for anyone who cares, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for caring. And let's get into it. Let's talk about the year. Let's talk about the year in my life, basically. So we'll focus mainly on the casting. I think that's like what I think a lot of you are here for on Twitter. I think is most of you people care about me for my casting, which I appreciate, and I love you for that. So we'll focus on that, but there will be a couple of other elements that will pop in throughout the year. So we'll talk about those as they come up. But I do have some brief notes just so I don't forget anything important. So you might see me glancing over, but try not to pay too much attention to it. And this I have to have this in my hand because I have to fidget with something. This is the quietest thing I have to fidget with, so you'll have to forgive me as well and bear with me on that. So, start of the year, we were doing Unofficial CBLOL English, which was great. It always is. The team involved with that were always really lovely, and we were having a good time. We were having fun. I was doing NLC team broadcasts, which were decently fun to do. Ultimately, not super rewarding to do. I think mainly I spent a lot of time working with Thunder in Div 2, did like a lot of their broadcasts, ran them for an agreed price. The owner then evaporated into thin air, and neither anyone else I knew or the NLC could get in contact with him, so lost a few €100 of time doing that, which was pretty annoying. And then it felt like the NLC ecosystem wasn't really offering me anything at that point. Like, I could keep busting my ass doing stuff for free or for a pittance for teams that probably shouldn't be paying for like in-house casting, just don't have the funds for that. It shouldn't be where their money is spent at that level. And it was just like, I don't feel like I'm getting great practice, I don't feel like I'm getting any money, I don't feel like I'm getting good exposure. I'm just kind of here because it's the region that I exist in. So I didn't really feel like it was doing anything for me, and it didn't seem like the NLC was like super excited to work with me. I think leagues.gg, I don't think they think super highly of me from what I can tell. So I was like, all right, that's fine. And that's totally their right. They have a great bunch of casters there. The Div 1 casters are great. The people they've brought in to do Div 2 are also great as well. Like people like Brackish Brit and Black Bloxer, Carvis, I remember working with him on Thunder. So they're all lovely people. They're all great and deserve their spot, and they're having a good time. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to stop just like focusing here because I don't think I'm getting anything out of it. Ultimately, I don't really feel like I can dedicate tons and tons of time to doing something where I don't feel like I'm like achieving anything anymore, when there are places where I felt like I could dedicate my time that was giving me a heck of a lot more back, which steps forward into the official CBLOL English when that got brought up. Now, we knew this was going to happen for a while. We had to be zipped up on it, tight-lipped, and we all were. We all did a great job at not even vague posting about it. I remember asking specifically, does this mean no vague posting, no exciting stuff coming for next split, guys, or just got out of a really fun meeting, winky face, no, it's official signed contract gif, none of that. They were politely requested not to do that, and we thought that was fair. So we did not say anything. I remember distinctly, we were all like watching the reactions on Reddit and stuff when we put out the announcement that we weren't continuing the unofficial one, and there were people going, I remember there was a specific guy who was saying like, I heard that they're not allowed to do it and that none of them are being brought on. And we were just reading there like, who told you that, bro? That's no one's said that. No one's implied it. You're inventing. We could just kind of sit there and chuckle and smirk to ourselves, waiting for the moment, which of course arrived in Split 2 in summer, when we could announce and go official. And I'm gonna be honest, very happy with that first split. I think that first season felt great. The talent team are so good. They're so supportive. It feels like a team. It feels like super respectful of each other. Myself, Dia, Random Minion Caster, Yeso, Hawk, Axeman, Soph-chan later on, Solari later on, 4x4. That's 9. Is that all of them? So they've just been absolute gems, start to finish. Felt like we were all able to have our own relationship with the broadcast and with Riot, and we had a great collective relationship with Riot and the broadcast, so we could talk to each other about what we were comfortable with, what we wanted to do, how we wanted to respond to certain things. And I felt like we were always able to get onto close enough of the same page, and were at least respectful of each other whenever there was a disagreement on anything, and no one came away feeling sort of hard done by or pushed or undercut or anything like this. That's how it felt to me. That is my understanding. Just loved working with everyone on that broadcast. And I'm gonna be honest, Riot Brazil have been super transparent and supportive of us as well in that first split. So very, very happy with that. I think we did decently on the viewership. We had good fun engaging with some of the people in the chat and the community that we've started to build, the English speaking CBLOL community, and it was just a grand old time, man. It was very, very good. Very happy with that. As naturally follows on from that discussion, there is obviously the thought about next split, and all we can really say is, I don't know. We don't know for sure, so we'll all just have to keep waiting. But we were happy with the first split. It felt like Riot were very happy with the first split. They were super happy to work with us, and it seemed like they were always talking about how they want us to develop and get better and grow, and that was just a lovely environment to be in. It was a great attitude for your boss to have. And just like the absolute insanity of going from your like 20 viewer unofficial stream simping over like House and Titan and Bronze and just popping off about these players, and then 3 months later, like, we're remote interviewing them, like we are on cam, on mic with these players, with the pros, is just bonkers, man. That was crazy, and you could feel how much it meant, I think, to everyone on that broadcast. All of us, the talent, we've had varying levels of experience. A lot of us are to the T1 league scene semi-unknowns. Since then, and kind of around that time, some of us have had like relatively high level experience. I know that Yeso has been on some pretty big like talk shows and pretty big content in esports. Dia has since been on the ALGS, like been on the top level of Apex Legends, kind of up in the freshest outfits. Hawk has now been into the LCS studio doing CBLOL and stuff. So, you know, from this and leading up to that point during it, we have had some big bookings, but overall we're randoms. We're straight randoms, and that felt definitely a little scary at times, but I felt like we just got such a warm welcome from the community and from Riot and from everybody, so it didn't end up feeling like we were imposters there. We felt good about that, and we will hopefully we will get to keep doing it in 2024, but we'll find out what the plans are as we go forward, because my goodness, the American scene is changing a lot. It's going to be crazy. I know that Kako Antunes, the new head of global head of Riot Americas, is going to be on top of it. He seemed like he really knew what he was doing when he was working with us, so I'm sure it's in good hands. And that formed, like, that was when I was in there and doing it. I've never really felt like I want to be on LEC one day. I want to be at the top of the casting game. I didn't come into casting like that. I didn't come into it being like, I want to be a caster as my main job. I started doing it as something to do when I was moving away from my friends and family back in 2018, 2019. I needed something else to just like work at and focus on that was fun, that was esports related still, like more directly involved outside of the finance stuff that my day job is. And I found that in casting, and I got hooked very quickly, and I think I had pretty quick, decent success with it. Nothing like the kind of the Hapgood speed run from UKL to LEC in like 2 years or something insane. But I felt like, you know, I was making good progress. I was moving up through things, starting away with just doing amateur leagues, and then Newell, and then Square One, and then UKL, and NLC guesting, and EU Masters with the Universe, and that just has, and Baltic Masters, and that just kind of steadily climbed up, and that has it's now become more than a hobby. I would be remiss to say, oh, it's just a hobby, I don't care at all. That's not true. I'm not going to say it like that. But it's never been like, this has to be the be-all end-all of my life and I have to dedicate everything to this. It's just never going to be that for me. It's always going to be one part of a whole, including my other career in finance and my social life and my partner, etc. So when I focus now on casting, I need to focus on things that are valuable and are a good use of my time, to bring it back to the point I was saying before. And CBLOL obviously is the best possible use of that time. That's what I want to focus on. And that will hopefully continue as part of my career, as my combined hybrid career going forward. It's like the finance on one side, the casting on the other. They can both be paid, professional experiences that form one big, happy existence. That is to say, it does not completely stop me from doing anything else. Now, before, that was Scottish Esports, which I was really enjoying getting into. However, then Esports Scotland went boom. I have not been paid since 2020. I've not been paid is a quicker way to say it. I haven't been paid a single penny by Esports Scotland, as a lot of people are in that position, and there's been the big post about it. There's an Esports News UK article you can read about it. The Scottish esports scene is kind of stalled out for League of Legends until something resolves in that way. Either someone else picks it up or Esports Scotland finds a way back, and we'll just have to see what that is. Did get to do Battle for Glasgow in person. That was fun. In the Glasgow uni scene, still casting and just helping, felt like I could help out a lot of friends and saw a lot of budding casters and talent there, which was really cool to see. They did a lot of event with very little resource. Charge Esports, the people running it, so hats off to them. And the Scottish scene is smoldering. It's not gone, but it needs a breath of fresh air, man. It needs something to get it back in gear. If we can't have a Scottish scene necessarily moving and chugging forward, what we do now have again is we have the UK scene. We have the Four Nations back, and that felt big. It felt very powerful. Everyone involved was experiencing that. It did feel like a revival and like a return to a few years in the past when we had such a strong community growing. It got stalled out by the NLC formation, but now back with the Four Nations as part of that umbrella, the structure already there. They've got the expertise to run at the very least at this level. The production team are doing way more work than their voluntary status requires. They are putting on some of the most impressive looking broadcast productions in European League, and that includes the ones that cost money. They're certainly pulling out all the stops, and the talent are doing a great job as well, and it feels like the community is coming back. You know, it feels like that connection that people had with League and that identity with the UK is there, and that's what the NLC has just never ever had because of the nature of its design. The UK Four Nations coming back is big. I think some of the plans that I've heard they have for 2024 are even bigger, and I cannot wait to see them. Hopefully, I really would love to be a part of them as well. I've really enjoyed working with them, so that now means I don't have to rely necessarily on the CBLOL as like, if I can't do this, then I can't do any good casting anywhere, which is kind of what it felt like, honestly. And now the Four Nations is there, and there is another option where I can cast for something that I care about, that it's fun to do, and it's good practice, and all that good stuff. So we've got two main thrusts going into 2024, okay? We've got the CBLOL, we've got the Four Nations. Between that, we've got the UK, we've got Brazil, which is just the most fun I've ever had in casting, bar none, and it's not even close. So that's how the casting went. It started off slow, not much going on, didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. Then the CBLOL hit, and we just had to contain our excitement through to that start. That hits, explosion of quality and activity and growth. Four Nations comes in at the end of the year, also props up the last few quarters. Really exciting development for the UK, and I'm gonna be honest, guys, I'm feeling optimistic. Now, I am not optimistic about esports. I feel like I am always very quick to the pessimism there. It's because I work in finance. I worked for an esports company. I was intimately aware with the problems the industry was having, and I did not see the solutions coming through. It was just a ticking time bomb, and this year it kind of went off. But for the avenues and the casting that I'm looking at, the future looks bright. I will offer my slight optimism in the UK League of Legends scene and in the Brazilian scene. So that's something. Now, this does kind of segue on to the finance side, to the career side, the day job side. That was Promod and is now no longer Promod. Once again, there is an Esports News UK article, there is a Esports Advocate article about it. It is known at this point. Promod, who was the operator of Polaris, for a time the operator of the NPL, the long-time operator of the Premiership, the UK Premiership, which has since ceased as well, has gone poof. And, well, I mean, who could blame him? Honestly, the industry is on fire, as I have said, and I won't get super into the details of it because it's just not appropriate. Suffice to say, there were internal factors that prevented us from being able to react effectively to what was happening in the industry. It would have been a tough time regardless of what was going on at the top, but ultimately that just kind of hamstrung the business and it wasn't able to adjust in time, and it just went down. It was a long, drawn out, painful, sad, depressing process for leadership, for me, for everyone involved, literally everybody. It sucks and blows, and it's very, very sad. Now, I want to be clear as well to say that the hardest this is hitting, probably, is on the freelancers and the people who were engaged with the company and have ended up not being paid for long periods of time, people who do not have a salary to rely on, people who are working and grinding at this unforgiving rock face that is esports, that are trying to chisel out a niche for themselves and could not anymore rely on Promod as a safe supplier to work for. And that pained me greatly as the mouthpiece of the financial department, having to be the mouthpiece of those financial problems to those suppliers. The struggles I had are never going to be anywhere close to equivalent to the struggles of the freelancers who were in that position, and I'm not trying to equivocate those. I just want to make it clear that we built a stellar reputation for on-time payment, for great freelancer relations. The whole business model relied on having a great freelance pool that we could draw on, and I think for several years we did have that and we built that. However, we couldn't maintain it forever. When there's no money in the account, I cannot pay you the money. You know what I mean? And I have to sit there with people going, where is the money? Where is the payment? This is why I need it. This is why the payment is important. Why is it going on so long? And I am unable, I am not allowed, professionally, legally advised at times, not to say why. I cannot just give all the information out because that would cause even more problems. And it's not public knowledge, and I can't share that with everybody who asks why the payment is late. All I can do is try to tell them that we're working on it, to try to tell them when we're trying to do things, but it's, after 18 months of that, it certainly wears down my fucking brain. That's for sure. It had significant negative impacts on my mental health, took all the joy out of the work that I was doing, and the motivation out of the work that I was doing, to the point where it was just a dreaded experience opening up my emails, because I knew that I would have questions being posed to me that I could not answer, that had people's livelihoods on the other end of them, and that was just horrendous. So, you know, as finance, I can advise, I can record, I can analyze, I can present conclusions to the business, but I cannot make the decisions that need to be made myself. All I can do is give them my recommendation, give them the true financial picture of what is happening, and being party to that and just watching it happen in real time, forecasting how it will happen, and then watching it happen is very, very depressing. I will say that. So that was horrible. Again, it was far more horrible for the freelancers who took the brunt of that impact, but it was certainly horrible inside as well. One thing that I do think is important to say about Promod before we move on is that place over its years internally created some of the most talented, professional, safe, secure, and understanding esports professionals I have ever had the pleasure of working with. The culture created employees that were more professional than anyone else in the industry I have ever worked with. I have worked with people at the parent companies of multinationals. I have worked with freelancers working for zero money on a voluntary basis. I have been around. I've been in esports for 5 years. I've worked with companies of varying sizes, and I've worked with individuals of varying statures. And nowhere had more consummate professionals than Promod and Hot Drop that I worked with. So in so many ways, they were doing it right. They were doing a good job. They were doing it how it should be done in so many other ways. But those are not ways that can keep your company alive in a cash crunch. Those are not ways that can directly affect the bottom line in the short term when it is needed. They are ways that can build a pillar of an industry that needs secure pillars very badly. Ultimately, it wasn't enough and they couldn't get there. Now, that potential is likely still going to come forth. There have been people who worked at Promod who are now running whole ecosystems in esports effectively, who still have decades of their careers left to make a further mark on this industry. But I can't help but wonder if some opportunity for more of that to happen was lost when Promod went down. So that again is distressing. It is very sad news for the industry. So that sucked for most of the year, for 11 months of the year. That sucked and it drained my life force for much of the year. I had a lot of good other things going on, thank God, otherwise I probably would have been a sad sack of shit most of the time. But we move on now, as people may have seen on Twitter and generally on LinkedIn or wherever. I now have a new job, not to esports, for the time being in finance. I had the choice to pivot away from esports or to stick it out. I ended up taking the choice to pivot away, but not as far as I could have. There were two choices that it came down to. One of them would have been 9 to 5, 5 days a week, multiple commutes over an hour every day by car, probably having to working overtime during crunch periods in the financial year, and losing the time that I want to spend on casting, on Scottish esports, continuing to be an active participant in trying to save this industry, which I love so dearly. And that ultimately, it had more money, it was probably a safer choice, it had great security. I'm sure it would have been a good job, but it didn't. It was too much. It was too much taken away from the lifestyle that I want to aim for, because so much of my life and career choices are, okay, I try not to aim and shoot for the stars and be, oh, I'm gonna go all in on casting and I'm gonna cast worlds one day and that'll be my livelihood. There's only like 25 people on Earth who can do that in League of Legends. And I don't want to rely on having to be one of them to enjoy casting. I want to cast because it is meaningful to me and it is enjoyable, and yes, it can earn some money as well, but I don't want to have to be relying on it, because I've seen what that does to the mental of other people and colleagues of mine that are trying to make it their sole focus, and bless their heart, that is their right and that is their dream, but it's not mine. I cannot put my livelihood on the line like that. It's just not possible for me. Can't go full force into it, but that does not mean that I would abandon it at the wayside. I want to still keep that around in my life, and this first job offer would not have allowed me to do that. It would have been too much time, too much dedication, too much of a pivot away from the esports lifestyle entirely. So we went for the other one, 4 days a week, part-time, very low commuting, maybe once a week, and I can do it by train. Super flexible, super friendly, super progressive company. I say company, it's a charity, in fact. Very impact-driven, mission-led business buzzword, okay? And then I can hopefully form this coalition between the finance and the casting, create a reasonable income that can pay for my rent, and keep building the lifestyle that I want to achieve. The company, just for anyone who cares at all, the company is called Social Investment Scotland, and I am working in their finance department doing management accounting and reporting for them. So that is where I am now. It was a riskier path, trying to combine all the things I care about into one package so I can have a varied life, I can have a comfortable life, and a life where I care about what I do when I get up in the morning, because my goodness, isn't that important for everybody. That's where the career has landed me. That's how the casting fits in, that's how the finance fits in. Now, what we're building to here, as some of you may have seen, I was blessed in the most genuine, sincere use of the word. No hashtags involved, okay? I was blessed to get engaged this year to my fiance Anya. That happened in July, and It was, I'll be honest, guys, I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm going to keep it a $150 for you. I think I did a pretty good job. I think I planned a great proposal. We were on holiday in the Hebrides at a Celtic music festival. All of our friends were there to meet us after the fact. We had a great private day with just us, many things going on, beautiful vista on a moody Scottish cliff face for the proposal. She said yes. Sorted. That happened in July. So now we are getting married in October 2024, and I really hope that this collection of revenue streams that I have built for myself doesn't fall down around my ears, because then that's gonna probably cause an issue. So we'll hopefully not have to deal with that, but we are steaming forward. We went into, once that date was set, we kind of went into overdrive, and if I'm going to be honest, we've got a venue, we've got a photographer, we've got the dress, we've got almost my entire outfit, we've already done save the dates, we've got a Kaylee band locked in, we've got a DJ locked in. We are flying, I'll be honest. We've almost got a celebrant down, and then we are going to be sweating the small stuff for 9 months next year, tinkering with the position and the color of the centerpieces or whatever. We're in a good spot. We will hopefully be able to share wonderful pictures. I'm sure some of you people watching this might end up being there. Just a couple of you maybe. That was so massive for me this year. As I said, work was getting me down, man. Getting me really far down at times. And having that to focus on, to think, at the end of the day, I can get another job. At the end of the day, if I have to, I can do this. I've worked for years and spent thousands of pounds getting a chartered accountancy certification, so now I should be able to get back into the job pool without too much problem, and I can always focus on this wonderful, shining event that is going to happen next year, and I can focus on that, think about that, and find comfort in that. That was big for this year for sure. And I think that might be all of it put together. I think we've covered everything, right, guys? To put a bow on it, to put some sort of conclusion from all of these wavering strands that I've been struggling to control for the past half an hour, it has been, and I feel like I overuse this term, but it has been a literal roller coaster of a year. It has been low lows and just transcendent highs, and uncertainty and discovery and milestones and doldrums. It has been wild, and I hope that 2024 will keep the highs. Would love to still be on CBLOL. New job goes great. Married in October. There is just banger after banger potentially set up for 2024. I'll be honest, that could be one of, if not the greatest year of my life, if I can just hold it together and keep these things under control. Let's not even think about the alternative, and let's hope that 2024 can deliver. So thank you everybody for watching. I know this is just super rambly, and I have like points that I was looking at, but I wasn't really able to keep them in a straight order. I didn't really put them in order. I didn't script really anything, so this is not going to be a tight recording. I don't even know how long this is going to come out to after I edit it. It's probably still going to be like 20 to 30 minutes or something horrendous, but I might end up cutting more bits out of it. But thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for caring. Honestly, it means so much to me. I am learning, and I've been trying this year to be more open and complimentary and tell the people that are important to me they're important to me. So for everyone who takes the time to watch, thank you sincerely for caring. We'll hopefully have plenty of good news and exciting developments and life-affirming moments to share next year. Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Happy holidays of various types if you do not. Have a wonderful new year if that's something you care about. I hope your 2023s were positive at the end. It was eventful, I'm sure, for everybody, especially you people for esports who are going to be will hopefully watch. I wish you all the best for 2024. I wish you stability and timely invoice payments to all my wonderful esports compatriots. Let's leave it at that.